Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light with charlierivermanbergeron. It's a joy, as always, to be with you on Friday mornings. And I'm especially enlivened today because of what we are about to move through, which is a solstice and an eclipse. And with those happenings, it's really amazing, an amazing time because there are going to be so many changes as we move out of this. Some people note this time as moving through the period of our evolution that has been talked about and written about for thousands of years, that it's a cycle where we're actually coming to a new beginning point. So this is what we have today, is this offering of moving through the changes and embracing who we truly are as these amazing human beings that carry the light of the universe. And it's our purpose at many levels to share this with everyone in order that we move through this as a collective humanity, a collective consciousness, not just our own individual selves. And especially now, as we can see how rampant the separation is in the world and the choices that people are making that are really not well thought, and they're not embracing kindness and compassion and the experience that humanity truly is here to experience. So with that said, I have some show notes somewhere. I'll unbury those. Okay. So, this is an amazing process that we're really going through. And each of us are experiencing it differently. Good morning, Anita, Marina, Lisa. Okay, we got some people showing up. Thank you. Bless you. So right now, the energies that all of us are feeling are very uncomfortable on a lot of different levels and in many different appearances. The fear and the uncomfortableness may appear as physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, anger rising, frustration, fatigue, physical fatigue, mental fatigue. Every aspect of our beingness now is being charged with the energies that are a collective of our journey as humans over the past thousands of years. So what we're seeing playing out now is not just happening now. This has happened repeatedly through our ancestry, through our genetic beingness. We carry the codes of every time that humanity went through periods of this. It's triggering those now. And much of what we're experiencing, it belongs to our ancestors, not us. And it's important for us to remember that as a collective whole, we carry that information, that genetic information, that energetic information lifetime through lifetime through lifetime. And it's carried in the waters of our beingness, and it's held and it's passed on through the mother into the child and into the future. And what we're seeing and feeling right now is, and I can't impress this enough, is really a collective feeling. So while each one of us may have our personal journeys in this physical lifetime and our situations, those are, we've stuffed them and don't want to look at them and deal with them. But now we can't avoid it. They're coming up. But they're being forced up by our ancestral pain and suffering, which also wants to be released and will be released. And it will be released by those who want to continue on this pathway after this solstice and this eclipse, on a path that is what I see as water. It's liquid, and it relates to our liquid state as we came into this physicality. We came in through the mother's womb in liquid form, began in liquid form. We are the water. The water is us. And many of you know that that's part of my purpose, is to bless the waters in order to return them to their original blueprint. And that's another whole genre. But right now, this whole thing, the message this morning was about flowing and flowing with the changes that are going to be very dramatic and are very dramatic right now. So the keywords this morning were given to me from many sources. It was almost as if there was a collective of guides instructing me as I was typing out the notes. And the first card I pulled, which is always the meditation card, this beautiful card here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't have my thing on screen on. No, large. There you go. Okay, now I can see. It's harmony. On this meditation card is harmony. The word is harmony. And the words of that is, my heart sings in harmony with the universe. I'm always on key. And it's interesting because our natural beingness is on key. We can't truly be off key and still exist in physicality. But what happens is we've distorted that to a point in which we no longer know what that feels like or what it means. And so the water came in this morning and it said the message for today is to stay in the middle of the stream. So if you think of a stream or a river, the middle will find its way around everything. But if we get thrown up against the sides or we get tossed over the rocks, this is what happens. So we need to stay in the flow, the most congregated, powerful part of the river or the stream, which will move around all of the obstacles or under them or over them. But it's getting hung up. It's our getting hung up in these places of inner stress, inner fear, inner anger, that is going to keep us from moving into the new consciousness, the new crystalline consciousness that is unfolding. Or returning, really, in many ways. It's returning. because we had that in the beginning and we slowly covered it over and buried it, just like the crystals in the ground. We buried them, and they no longer are connected to us as they were. So, key words for today and this journey that we're on, there were two. They're acceptance and manifestation. And those are powerful words when we look at the possibilities that we're facing right now to really shift and change and grow and embrace each other in new ways without the old patterns interfering. And the Harmony card also is expressing that what is arising in all of us is greater, is the greater sensing of fear. Not just in the world around us, but also triggering the wounds, the doubts within us that have not been resolved. So it's a big upheaval in many ways. And in many ways, this is the exact medicine that humanity has created. Humanity has created this as a collective, unknowing, unimaginable. But for these thousands of years that we've been doing and acting in this behavior of separation and greed and destruction, we are now being held accountable for that. Not to punish us, not as a punishment, not as an attack on us, but to make us aware how far we have separated from the source of our creation. And each one of you can separate we can do it all we want. We can go as far as we want. But the time is now where we're being called home. We've had thousands of years of this. We've wandered off. And now it's time to come back home into the heart space. And not to continue triggering these old doubts and wounds, but to release them, to let them go, to let them dissipate into wherever they go. We don't have to know where they go, but we do know that they have to come out of this physical body. So I know all of you are, as Lisa just says, I can feel a vibration from all the hate that's out in this world, and I don't know what to do about it. And Lisa, you're not alone. None of us truly know what to do about it. But perhaps that's the answer. The answer is we're not to do anything about it, except watch it and know that we are not the contributors to that. So can we change our conscious awareness to watch it as the movie it is? And I know that's hard when it's affecting us personally. And it takes greater strength to come back into our hearts and say, I am so much more than this. And if I allow myself to wade and go into that muddy area of the river, I'm going to get stuck. Or if I go into the rockier area where the rocks are being thrown and tossed around by the water, I'm going to get injured by those rocks. I am going to end up wounded. Let's take another look. So we see all of this on the outside, what's happening, and we relate to it from this human nature that we have. But if we can rise a few levels up and look at this as if it was a group of children in a playground, that's what I'm getting coming through, a group of children in a playground, and they were doing that. Somehow we would be called to go in and say, try to fix that. That's the old way of doing things. And in that process of trying to fix it, we become engulfed in it. And then we, as the adults, start arguing with each other about how should we do this? What should we do? And we keep the pattern going. And so what I'm coming to realize at this point is, now that many people would disagree with, is that we are to stand in our power and just uphold the energy that we are, and the energy that's now coming from source, embedding itself into planet Earth and feeding and aligning with us, and uphold that energy for others to take or sip from, or however you want to look, how that energy is flowing from us, from our hearts, from the water within our body. And we offer them that to drink. We can do it in a million different ways. We don't have to be on the front lines. We don't have to be way in the back of the line. But wherever we are, make that sharing of the waters, the sharing of the waters of love, of peace, of light, with those who need it. We're not here to fix this. It will dissipate when we no longer give it the energy that it has to have in order to support the illusion that it is. This is coming through me now. It's not in my notes, but I love how this is what happens to us, is when we receive each other open-heartedly, and we look at what each one of us are saying and allowing it to flow through our consciousness and into our physicality, we can feel that water. We can feel that movement. And that's what's aligned with this greater movement of the stars, the universe. So much is happening. We look at it as just one day here, and we've created all kinds of meanings for it. And throughout history, we have traditions and stories. We have fearful stories of eclipses, the dragon swallowing. All of these stories were there because humanity felt the energetic connection to it. And we right now have isolated ourselves with these machines and with our technology and our lifestyle to the point where we don't even need to gather in groups to run a business anymore. People can do it in their pajamas, playing with their dog at home. That's an amazing change from was 200-300 years ago, when you had to be enslaved in this building and everybody gathered and working together. And so you can see that this form of living is I don't like the word dying, but it's dissipating. It no longer has the power or the energy left to sustain it. And you see world leaders and organizations struggling to stir up our fear, stir up our pain, in order to create that energy that it took to maintain that old paradigm. And they'll do anything. Human life is not important to them. They'll say that it's important. Oh, they'll say, we're doing this for you. But if they were really doing this for you, you wouldn't be feeling so alone. You wouldn't be feeling so much pain. You wouldn't be feeling so much fear. So we're at a gateway. We're at a gateway now, another one. There's millions of them. But this one's a powerful one. It's a point where if each of us just keep our hearts open through this, and it's going to take great strength to do that from our physical selves. But if we tap into the energies of the universe, the energies of the divine, the energies of creation, we will be in alignment with the changes. Right after the solstice, we have the eclipse. The eclipse is a resetting. It's always been resetting. The light of the sun is covered, swallowed by the dragon. But out of that comes a new beginning. It's sort of like the period at the end of the sentence. One of my guides is sharing that. It's like the period at the end of a sentence. And we start a new paragraph. That new paragraph is also a fork in the road. The fork in the road will now reveal a gateway. And the gateway will provide us the opportunity to leave the road behind us and travel on a light path, a river of light, which will not be seen by those whose hearts are closed, or if they're still heavy laden with darkness and ancestral anger, because we're all feeling that ancestral anger. And not one of us on this planet cannot go back into our ancestry where we were not slaves. You won't find it until you go all the way back to the beginning of this foot race of humans. We've all been enslaved one way or another. We've all been murdered. We've all been starved to death. We've all experienced the pains that are now on the plate that's being served to us. But all the prophecies point to something better. A new beginning, a returning, an awakening where the elders are greeting the new children, where the elders who are holding the memory of the light and the power that they are greeting the new children and welcoming them and embracing them and telling them that it's safe. It's safe to be who they truly are. And we will encourage you and embrace you with the teachings and the ancestral knowledge, to keep you remembering who you are. So it won't stop when you're 7 or 8 years old, because the world around you has frightened the living hell out of you. And you just want to curl up inside of yourself or express yourself in some outrageous behavior. This gateway is really beginning a new time of seeding and nurturing the future generations. And each of us has an inner alignment that will guide us, that is not story-based. And I say this because this is what we've been living on. We've been living on the old stories, and we've been living out the stories according to the stories. Story time is over. We are entering into our crystalline nature, and we're not affected by the stories anymore, because we're going to see the stories for what they are. Stories. And just because you read a book doesn't mean you have to do what was written in the book. We are sovereign beings, and we've been trapped in the external frequencies of distortion. Which have been and still are being radically optimized as tools of control. They control us, whoever they are. There is no they. They are us. Control us. We are part of that. And we have to open our hearts to realize that that part of us is going to be left behind on the path. And the energy from that will have been dissipated by our choice, conscious choice, to step into our crystalline nature rather than this nature that we have been living in human physicality, and believing that that was all we are. So the message is really for us to remain in the holy waters of the river. That river of life is in every water molecule in our body. You can't separate from that, no matter how hard you try. Even when we die, we don't separate from that. Talk to anybody who has a near-death experience. They will give you 1,000 different stories. But they will know in their hearts that there's something far more amazing than all the stories we've been told. And that's us. We are far more amazing. And it's time now for us to step into that pattern as we go through these gateways. And so, let's see, almost done with my time frame here. So the last of my notes before I read something from Kuan Yin is the keys for us to move forward now are to trust the celestial voices which radiate as creator's energy, to stabilize our individually unique energy fields within our physical water structure. But this is our physical water structure. To create harmony and balance and anchor it into the heart of Mother Earth. and to rebirth the crystalline collective consciousness in all of humanity and end this trail of destruction. Powerful message, powerful, and sometimes when we look at the immensity of that, we feel small. And this is the message. As individuals, we feel small. But if we gather together in small groups, the small groups will link. You don't have to join the big one. They will all link in conscious awareness. This is the crystalline collective consciousness. If you look in crystals in the earth, they can be separated, yet they're connected. It's that connection. It's that connection that is really the important key for all of us right now. Somebody's saying, Ram Dass, let the natural flow of the universe course through your being and harmonize your soul. Yes. Thank goodness for change. Yes. Who are you? Yes. Ask yourself that. Who are you? In truth, not what everybody else has told you, not what everybody else has made you believe, but who are you? When the lights go out, when you're all alone, who are you? And what might you be here to do right now? Amazing, isn't it? When we stop, when we look, when we embrace the parts of ourselves that we're not very sure about, we're not very secure in, but we're reminded that we're part of something far greater than our human mind can truly understand. And the key is, can we accept that thought? Because it's in that thinking and in that thought that everything begins new life. Because in that world, there is no looking back. Because what's behind us is meaningless. What's meaningful is where we are in the present moment. Each breath I take is the only breath I take. Each time I blink my eye, it's the only blink. This large picture of destruction and mayhem and chaos all comes down into this one little tiny package, this bundle of nerves and cells and water. Take care of the water that you are. Bless the water that you are. Bless the water that you take into your body. Make that connection to the water more of a priority in your lives. The card of Kuan Yin, Dynasty of the Divine Mother. The only wish of the Divine Mother Goddess is that all beings be spiritually free. The Divine Goddess calls us to realize our true nature, to fall in love with our own divinity. Enlightenment is a culmination of many small steps, each one as a drop of water forming a divine ocean of peace, realization, love, and unity within us. An ocean that washes away fear, separation, and scarcity, and bathes us in abundance and bliss. You carry the torch of enlightenment within you, beloved. Let it shine each day. Thank you, Kuan Yin, for this reminder of who we are, of what we are capable of doing when we let go of our attachment to what we think is real and allow the water to become what truly is real. I love you all. I thank you. I thank you for this opportunity to share with you. I hope that for each of you, some of the words trigger a part of yourself to open a little more to that beautiful being that you are. I'm not a guru. I'm not a wizard. And yet I'm all of those. And so are you. So are you when you can take and look and say, this no longer serves me. Thank you for being my teacher, but I no longer need you because I am the teacher. And I have always been the teacher, as we all have been, in this fragile and delicate, yet sometimes cruel and harsh third dimension. To the water in you, I love you, I thank you, I respect you. I am you. You are me. Together, we are unity. And we have never been anything else except in our thought patterns, in our stories, and in our inability to truly remember who we really are. With that, I'm complete. On the 20th, which is tomorrow the 20th? Yeah, wow, coming up fast. I will be upholding the energy for Karina Shah, who's hosting a gathering of global gatekeepers. You can find more information on Grandmother Speaks about that. And it's just a gathering where her husband has created a vision or has had a vision, and we're there to uphold the light. So wherever you are tomorrow during the solstice, I wish you the best. And I will be there upholding energy for each and every one of you as the divine masculine. And thank you all for being here right now. Have a great solstice, a wonderful eclipse. If you have crystals or things, sacred objects, put them out in the light during these several days. Allow them to receive both the darkness and the light, because in both aspects, energies will be coming through for all of us to absorb and to react with, not to, and react with in order to enlighten us even further as to the truth of who we really are. Now I'm complete. Bless you all. I love you and thank you for showing up. And as the end goes, well, how do I get out of here? Oh, end live video. Love you. Bless you. Thank you.